princess, I'll prepare for wizardly combat.
I want to show you a trick Mother showed me when you weren't around.
Welcome to Spellburn, a podcast covering the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game and old-school adventuring. It's time to party like it's 1974.
Princess, I'll prepare for wizardly combat.
I want to show you a trick Mother showed me when you weren't around.
Welcome to Spellburn, a podcast covering the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game and old-school adventuring. It's time to party like it's 1974.
Princess, I'll prepare for wizardly combat.
I want to show you a trick Mother showed me when you weren't around.
Welcome to Spellburn.
Hello, peace friends, and welcome to another episode of Spellburn. Eric Bloat, the big cheese over at Bloat Games, has been in the gaming publishing business since 2017, if my sources check out right, when he launched his first Kickstarter, Dark Places and Demogorgons. Since then, he has been on a tear. Many other successful crowd campaigns have come and gone. So many, I cannot possibly do it justice. Vigilante City, Zombies, Survive This Zombies, Evolved, one of the latest kind of DCC crossovers, The Blackest Deaths, and one of my personal favorites, Space Marine zine called Operation Bug Hunt. He publishes mainly for his own system, Survive This, but has also released versions of his games for DCC RPG and 5th edition D&D. Tonight, Spellburn invokes Eric Bloat.
Woo-hoo. Thank you, guys. Woo. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm Judge James, and with me I have the usual cast of Judges J. First, Judge Jen, first of her name.
Greetings, everyone.
Yeah, it's getting fancy now. 2 years in, I'm starting to, I don't know, lose it.
I dig it.
Judge Julian, first of his name.
Hello.
And of course, Eric Bloat. Welcome, Judge Eric.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, enough of that. Let's slide on over to the tavern. All right. Belly up to the bar. Get yourself something to drink. I guess we'll start off with Judge Jen. What's been going on?
No, why me every time?
It's just the order. You should maybe edit the document and put yourself down lower in the show notes, and then
yes,
I didn't know that was allowed.
It is.
There you go.
Well, let's see. Recently, since we last met our heroes, we made an appearance at Alliance Open House. By we, I mean 5 or 6 of us from Goodman Games. It was actually pretty cool. It was fantastic to see Brendan running his demos for by demos, I mean 10 to 15 minutes with people trying to get to all these different publishers, the stickers or the coupons or whatever for whatever fancy giveaway prizes there might be, or free drinks or whatever. Uh, it's always a rollicking time over there.
Where is that
And
held at so that I can maybe come crash the party?
Alliance Open House. Alliance is one of the largest distributors in the US
Yes.
for the gaming and book trade. And since their merger with Alliance or with Universal, there's talk of comics now too.
But
So
where is this party held at?
it is in Fort Wayne.
It's in Fort Wayne.
Glorious Fort Wayne, yes.
Center of the universe.
It's about 10 minutes away from the warehouse, and the Alliance Midwest warehouse is 10 minutes in the other direction, so it works. I also spent a day last job and intern there at Purdue Fort Wayne, and boy, was that a new crowd of people to talk to, and it was like seeing the future of our community, like in little college and pre-college shoes, and it was both adorable and endearing, and it was also really fascinating to deal with people on that kind of level, especially when they're coming over going, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this at a job fair before. This is awesome. And we were, and says we'll probably have a pretty awesome internship program next year. And in a mere 2 days, I will be heading over to Portland for the 30th annual HP Lovecraft Film Festival. So
Ooh.
I'm kind of in like last day of school vacation mode. Are we done yet? I love you guys, but so yeah, that'll be a lot of fun too.
Cool. Oh, it looks like I'm next, huh? See, I should have edited this document as well. Let's see. Since last month, there's a microcon here in Ann Arbor, put on by a couple podcasts. Roll for Topic is one of the podcasts. The other podcast is The Splat Book. Both the podcasters are in Michigan. I think a couple of them are in Ann Arbor and one's over in Grand Rapids. I've been on both shows, which is awesome. And I've been to this con a couple of years ago too. And it's just a really small con, maybe like 5-ish tables, a pretty good morning section, an afternoon section. They feed you. I mean, you pay for this privilege, but yeah, they feed you a nice lunch, and then just a really great community of open game, loving, gamers. So they're into every system, so you can go from playing like story games to crunchy games to, so it's just like this kind of wide, and there's always like a theme. And this year's was "And My Axe." So there was some dwarven themes going on from Lord of the Rings, which is pretty funny. And
where did you say that one was?
It's in Ann Arbor. It's in town here where I live, and so and it's just great people, fantastic people. Really, everybody's at the table, super engaged. So you can't ask for a better setup. And so that was just this last weekend. I ran a game of Netcrawl for a bunch of new people. Most of them had never played DCC, and of course, hardly anybody's playing Netcrawl, but whatever. I'll fix that soon. And then I played in Paragon, a Paragon system game that was hacked for Cyberpunk, and that was really great too. And then I went home and hung out with my wife. But before that, I also was hanging out with Don Stroud, my main man, and we played 5th edition Werewolf, which I haven't played World of Darkness in like a million years.
5th?
What?
Oh, 5th?
Yeah. Can you believe it? I had no idea. I guess that, it felt pretty much the same. They did change around some of the lore, which I found fascinating. They like basically, that first edition game was a lot of like leaned heavily into like world geography tropes, of like Native Americans and Asian and like Irish and all this. That's all kind of gone from the system, so it's very neutral in that respect. So it's interesting, but it still felt the same. You're kind of a hero. You're trying to make sure that the dark forces don't overtake the universe or the world or whatever, and you're a werewolf and you get to rip stuff to shreds, and that's always awesome. So it's good to see
Like
that.
you do.
Yeah, like you do. So it was a playtest for a guy who it was his first game that he was going to write, and it was really nice actually. He had like uh, a kind of a cutscene kind of mechanic where you play some kids that are captured for like a little bit, and then you play your heroes, and then I guess next act two we'll pick up where the kids left off, and then we'll finish the adventure. But really great playtest. So that was me for the past month or so. Um, hey, let's. What about you, Julian? What's happening?
Hey, first of all, no matter what you say and just said or say after this, I am only imagining you and Don Stroud in a werewolf LARP. That's all. It's just the two of you. And he's got like a bunch of hair, like like that kind of costume, and you've just got the beard, and the two of you are like, rawr! You're like in a wood paneled basement, and there's
Yes.
like 16 open beer bottles on the table, and you're like, no, but my guy's like, rawr! Yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyway,
Awesome.
don't try to mess with my buzz because that's it. So, all right.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. It's all down here from we got a great report from Storm Anderson, who is a pal of mine from North Texas RPG Con. And I met Storm a couple of years ago. We did some gaming together, and again this summer. And he volunteered to test our 10th level epic DCC game, the 10th Doomstar, that I've been working with carefully and slowly with Judge Stefan. But he wanted me to give a rundown because these guys do this crazy DCC thing. So there's a little blurb I'm going to kind of sum up here. They at Dragonflight Con 2025 in the Seattle area, held in I think August 22nd to 24th. The Order of Cascadian Claromancers hosted the Gauntlet for the second year in a row, a room filled with 25 sequenced DCC, MCC, and X-Crawl sessions over 3 days, starting characters at level 0 and finishing at level 4. Rough guesstimate was about 60 different players in total got in the fun. Now, keep in mind, they were jumping from table to table, so a lot of people played, over and over, but there were also people who only hopped in for a couple games. So players could level once per session and then take the survivors from genre to genre even to the next game. The gauntlet culminated in the destruction of Chungus the Fungus, a level 3 super plantient who'd gone bad, who was a player character. And that was their final session as the party realized the most dire threat to mankind was indeed a fellow party member. The most accomplished 13 survivors, 2 of whom made it to level 5, got to loot a real live treasure chest, including swag donated by Luau Lu of Dandelion Games, John Watson of Rugby Melee Games, and Spellburn's own Julian Burnick, who doesn't have a cool name for his games.
Wait, you were in the chest? That seems weird.
I was in, I'm a mimic. I'm super into mimics these days. Other sponsors included Stefan Surratt of Dragon Peak, Jonathan Sullivan per Aspera Games. They also provided some swag. And the most accomplished Gauntlet survivors were then exclusively invited to participate in a playtest of the epic and unprecedented 10th level adventure, the 10th Doomstar, in which the forces of law prevailed to save the galaxy from an additional 9,999 years of chaos.
Wow.
So, Storm, hats off. That sounded like a ton of fun. If you're in the Seattle area, you should check that out next year. Dragon Flight Con 2026 next year. I guess Judge Joe Bittman was there running some of his DCC adventures and also some brutal blades and that kind of stuff. So, I
Judge
don't know.
J. He was the first of his name.
The first of one of the first three J's.
That's true too.
I believe he would have to be Athos amongst the the first three Musketeers. But anyway, that's probably getting a little too. Okay, so sad news. Okay, switching gears. I do have some really crap news to share, and I don't have very much detail about this, but I wanted to give a shout out to my old pal John Dahlstrom, who's a local gamer from southern Minnesota, passed away last week. John was a fixture of early DCC games all over Minnesota, kind of the north, here in the Twin Cities as well, but also in Gary Con, Game Hole, Gen Con. It's sort of a cliche, but as a guy that you really couldn't know without just loving being around him. He was always down for a good time and a bad joke. You always came away from the con with the John story, although he might have only been a co-conspirator in whatever trouble we started. But it was always a lot more fun when he was around. And he was a true Minnesotan, hunting and fishing. Stopped going to Game Hole Con because it messed up with deer hunting season.
Yeah.
So he was like the real thing. Great sense of humor, true bastion of fellowship. And I haven't even got done processing it. But I'm hoping we can do some sort of memorial event for him at a future cons, maybe a little publication or, something for charity, tournament type thing or something, because he deserves that, and we got to do something for him. So just love to all his family and friends, and we want to keep his memory alive. And I will say this because this is, of course, relevant. Here's a John story for you. when I went pretty early on when I met him at kind of the North, he'd listened to Spellburn, so he's like, "Well, I have a letter for Spellburn," and I said, "Great. Well, email it to us. It's great. We need emails all the time," which we do. I said, "Yeah, just email it to us." He's like, "No." And he grabs a obviously we're sitting in the bar at Con of the North. He grabs a napkin. He writes his letter to Spellburn on a bar napkin
I
and hands
remember
it to me.
that.
And I read it on the air, of course.
Wow.
So
Really
I
sorry.
don't know what episode that was. I don't know how to track that down, but it's out there somewhere.
Farewell, John, and sorry for your loss there, Julian.
I remember calling him Big John, Big John Dahlstrom, and he said, "I'm not that big. You're making me sound fat. Why am I Big John Dahlstrom?" I said, "But he was a huge personality. He lit up the room anywhere he went. He's bigger than life, and really, really gonna miss him. Just a super fun guy." All right.
I'm sorry. I'm
yeah.
sorry, Julian. In other crap news, you want to hear some other crap news?
Oh, please.
I kind of forgot. I think it happened the day before we recorded our last month. Was that William Bud Baird passed away of Bud's RPG reviews. You would know him for, of course, his hands, because that was what he always did. Was he gave his review, just his hands were in the screen, and that was it. I met him, I think, a couple of years ago when the UK crew all came to Gen Con. I think that was 2 years ago. So sad news there too.
Yeah,
sorry, guys.
That is tough. Well, so yeah, hopefully we won't have much of that stuff to do in future episodes, but
we are in the tavern. We are in the tavern. Raise a glass.
Yes, indeed. Judge Eric, sorry to drop all that on you, Judge Eric, but let's down our drinks. Let's pour a new drink, wipe the slate clean, clear our palates, take 3 seconds and then go. Judge Eric, tell what you've been up to.
Well, I've actually been up to a lot. For the first time in Well, since 2020, I ended up having to get a job, so I'm no longer solely supported by Bloat Games, and so I'm adjusting this past month to trying to do everything I've been doing for Bloat Games for the past 9 years, and trying to also work hours that before was dedicated to Bloat Games, but still trying to finish everything. So I've been like a little bit running around like a madman. But on the plus side, a lot of our Kickstarters, which were kind of messed up due to the tariffs and printing and stuff, they've all been arriving. So I've been able to get stuff out um, quite a bit over the past month. So that's been really helpful. As far as gaming goes, the only thing I've had time for my home game, which like my group of friends, we still play like from the kids we played together in middle school. We still play together,
Awesome.
typically every 2 weeks, and we play first edition AD&D. That's been canceled this past month. So the only thing I've got into is I recently discovered Dark Fort, which is the solo game that inspired Morkborg.
Mm,
And I've been playing Dark Fort and its hacks, which there are numerous hacks out there of it, solo uh, in the downtime when I'm not either working or shipping off other Kickstarters. So that's what I've been up to.
that's right. Dark Fort is Mjorkborg in
Yes.
Swedish.
Hmm.
I did not know that. I knew what Morkborg stand for, but I didn't know it was a different game.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Hmm. See how ecumenical we are. You come here and you learn all this stuff on Spellburn.
It's fantastic. We're a resource.
Ecumenical? You're breaking out the Bernician language here. Come on.
Oh,
Ecumenical. Yes.
No.
why not? It's a great word. All right, we're gonna start a new section in Spellburn where we do like some vocab. How
Yeah.
about that?
Okay, I'm ready for that.
Oh boy.
Definition burn. Oh,
Well, I am okay. Just for fun, I'll say the truth, which is I am writing a lot of Vancian fiction. So the vocabulary is
Ah.
I, I ratcheted up to a very, it's turned up to 12. And I don't know, it might be way too much, but 12 may be way too much. But at any rate, I am enjoying that aspect.
normally they go up to 11, but yours
Right.
goes up to 12.
Well,
Yeah.
but this one ascends ecumenically to 12.
All right. Let's get out of the tavern. Let's burn your wallet down. All right. Crowdburn looking a little thin this month, which is probably good news for your wallet if I don't. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh, we got something coming up. It's not live yet, but it's coming up. Get ready for Descent of the Ancient Fane, a most hellish dungeon for D&D, I assume 5th edition, and DCC from Matt Funk, which please publishing. He's got his page up. It's on BackerKit. So if your wallet's feeling flush, which I'm sure it isn't, or is, you've got a few more days, and then it's going to launch. I don't know exactly when it's going to launch. Speaking of which, don't forget to email us at spellburnband@gmail.com and tell us about your next crowdfunding campaign so that we can talk about it here. Like I said, not too much going on for the crowd burn. So wait a minute, Eric, do you have one going on right now?
I do not know. I'm I kind of on purpose with just starting the job this month. I was like, okay, I'll take September off and jump back in October. So
God Lord, we're going to talk all about that. You're a madman.
Godspeed.
Godspeed. All right, we'll definitely talk about that after we summon some emails. All right. Let's see. I guess, Julian, you're up first reading an email.
Yeah, here we go. This one is from Judge Brian Spellman. And before we get into this, I have to say apologies to Judge Brian. My bad, mea culpa. I had asked people to send in their Gen Con wrap ups for episode 147 2025 Gen Con wrap up. Well, I think Matt Robertson was the only guy who sent us anything, so we made him come on the show, as you know from episode 147. However, like 2 days later, I looked and I saw that Judge Brian actually did send us an email right as that day of episode 147, like 12 hours earlier. And I didn't catch it and put it in our emails that day. So, sorry, Judge Brian, but he was a good sport. I told him we'll put it in the next episode, and here it is. So Judge Brian writes us regarding Gen Con wrap up. We ran a funnel Friday night with 11 players. 8 of them were brand new. One new player quickly stole the show with her character and her cow. She named her cow Betsy, kept her safe, and even made sure she came through the portal in the wagon. Now, he refers obliquely to some of the funnel goings on, and I didn't play this funnel, so, but yeah, it's a funnel. There were portals. There's a Betsy and a cow, et cetera. Okay. When asked to roll a luck check to see if the character could ride Betsy, she explained that her character had been doing it since childhood and passed the check. Later, during combat with the orange centipedes, she declared, "I'm on Betsy. I take out my pitchfork and charge." This is how the cow cavalry is invented, I guess. I had her roll luck for Betsy's reaction, and she passed, and then roll a d20 for the attack with a mighty deed.
That's a goat.
Sorry, deed.
Livestock, whatever.
Well, it was after explaining the mechanic.
No,
She
no.
rolled.
No, that's not allowed.
Oh,
on
yes.
Spellburn.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
sorry. No.
Yes. So she rolled a natural 20 and a 4 on the deed die. From the back of her cow, she one-shotted the enemy.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's pretty good. In the end, that character is the only survivor. She made level 1.
Nice.
But then there's a but, and I thought for sure this cow is made into something. And then it's like, no, but the being also granted Betsy chainmail armor. Okay, well, okay, great.
As you do.
That's pretty good. Okay.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Judge Brian.
Wait,
You brought up what would you say, cavalry? So is there like a
cavalry?
Oh, you don't have to do that. Like a cow cavalier, though. I feel like it should be in the
cavalier.
Oh no! Stop it!
No. You don't want to go down this road, James. Although, can I just say, Judge Brian is talking about a funnel experience game at Gen Con, right?
I think so. Although I ran the funnel and I don't remember orange centipedes.
I don't know, man.
Might be a different one.
Yeah. I just know he stepped up to help us when a couple of GMs dropped. So add respect for all that.
So who is that? Judge
Brian.
Brian.
Oh,
Stone.
Judge Brian. Oh,
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah, he was
him.
The guy whose email you were just reading.
Right. I'm like, what? Well, see, that is you get a luck point for that, Brian. I mean, you get a luck. 1 luck. Not fleeting luck, real luck.
Permanent, yes.
Permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Should we read a new one? A new letter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Looks like we got another one from DM Kojo.
Super fan.
Of course, yes. Well wishes, burners of spells. First, in regards to my previous email, I did mean a natural 20 and not a 30 for earning more luck tokens. Okay, if you don't remember, you'll have to listen to the last episode. I'm not digging that one up.
I've already forgotten.
Yep. But he says, I also love the name Kojo Mojo, but I imagine I need Brendan LaSalle's blessing to use that in public. And why?
No, just do it.
I'm a big fan of commentating like in the middle of emails. I apologize, guys. Okay, sticking to the text. As I continue to play around with house rules, I wanted to see what you thought of a new initiative rule that I'm considering adopting. It is basically the same initiative process as Edge Studios' Star Wars RPG system uses. Each player still rolls an individual initiative, and the judge still rolls for the enemies or NPCs as normal, but instead of the PCs and NPCs acting in descending order in which they rolled, the initiative slots are assigned as PC slots and NPC slots. Then as the encounter progresses, when a PC slot comes up, any PC who has not yet acted may ask the party if they can take that slot. NPC slots allow the judge to order the combatants as they prefer. And this system, as I have used it in the Star Wars RPG, has many cool benefits. One, it encourages collaboration within the party. One party member may ask to move into an early slot in order to set up an attack that a later acting PC can take advantage of. Two, it eliminates the I hold my action until later in the round problem that I see at my table when players want to wait and assess the situation before committing to an action. Three, it allows the judge to order the NPC actions in a more logical way. This also eliminates the situation where all the minions act first and the big bad guy ends up going last because the judge rolled a 2 on the leader's initiative roll. And four, lastly, it enhances the narrative as the actions of the PCs are now more coordinated and the PCs are not just acting as individuals when their randomly determined turn comes up. I have yet to try this at my DCC table, but I'm curious what the judges J have to say about it. Taking voluntary corruption in hopes of invoking you, mighty patrons.
Ooh, we're patrons now.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Sans puns, of course. So no, I don't know. Julian's gonna have to work harder for it.
Yeah, I mean, especially given the last 5 minutes there.
Yeah, exactly.
We shall not speak of it again. That's a cool concept. And you totally own Kojo Mojo. There's no need to even ask. That's
yeah.
That's 100%. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Julian?
Well, first of all, I want to thank DM Kaujo for this great email. It was terrific. Thank you so much.
I'm really
sorry. This is why we can't have nice things.
I'm sorry, Eric.
So I find this idea is totally okay. It sounds like a little extra work especially because every time around the players are going to have to decide, and they might be indecisive about who gets the first slots before bad guys go and stuff like that, especially sometimes in con games where people are shy and awkward because gamers and they don't know each other. Some of them may not talk to other people in real life very often, and all that stuff. But it might be perfect, like in a group where people really know each other, used to working together, it might actually be really easy and go fast. So that could be pretty fun. I actually am just a fan of sort of D6 group initiative, and it's just one level easier, simpler than that, I should say, because it's just, bad guys and then good guys or good guys and then bad guys. And if people want to really go in a specific order, you just let them, but otherwise you just start at the left and go right, and everybody kind of knows what what order they're coming, and they're ready, which is efficient because they sort of see the hand of fate coming their direction. So I like the efficiency of that. That's all I'm gonna say. But I have no designer snob or crossing the streams objections, DM Kojo. So go forth and prosper.
And what would you say to chime in, Eric?
Yeah. I mean, that system works great. It really works great in the Star Wars type setting. I would have concerns about playing with groups of people who don't know each other, because you'll get people who really want to go, but they'll default kind of like Judge Julian was saying, and sit in the back when really they wanted to go or something like that. So I would, if you're playing with a group, that's great. If or a group that's like everybody knows each other, been gaming for a while, it's great. Try it out. If it works, thumbs up. If it doesn't work, just move on.
Yeah, I don't. And now that kind of think about it a second or two, I'm also kind of wondering. We're talking about a 6-second or 10-second round. Everybody's moving, everybody's doing stuff. Like, do you really expect coordinated, kind of activity out of that? I don't know. Having kind of done some Society for Creative Anachronism, there's not a lot of talking when you're in combat. You just kind of move and try not to get hit. I don't know if it makes a lot of, but that's like, whatever, simulationist or something. I have no idea.
I will say this: if you know the Minneapolis posse and you gamed with my good friend Trevor Hartman, the the possibilities for humor are pretty good because especially if you have to like you're in an order but you can yield your order to people, and Trevor's like third or fourth. The first guy is going to be going, and Trevor's going to be like, "No, no, put me first. I've got something. I got something." And everybody's going to be like, "Yeah, as I was saying, does anybody, John? Do you want Clint? Do you want to do, And then go down there, and Trevor's like, "No, no, put me first. Put no, no." And it'll be
I can attest to that.
yes, it'll be.
It's adorable though.
Oh, he's
It's something. Yeah.
Trevor. Okay, he's at the Renaissance Festival right now, probably. So
Mm.
I can do stuff to him. Okay.
All right, last letter in the mailbag comes from Noah Sachs, S-A-X. Greetings, spell burnouts. Well, I don't think he knows us that well, does he? I mean,
Well,
maybe he's gone to something. All right. Love the podcast. I just recently discovered DCC starting with XCC, X-Crawl Classics, and your work has been a great source of guidance as I learn the game. At your service. I am writing because, although I'm a longtime gamer, I have never been to a big game convention. This lack will be addressed next year at GaryCon. Congratulations. I have never been to. Oh, wait, did I skip a line? GaryCon.
Yeah.
I did skip a line. I've got my tickets and a hotel, more than I do. But I have no idea what I should be doing. I've signed up to run 4 games for the free t-shirt.
woohoo.
God bless you. But perhaps I'm overextending myself, as usual, for my first con. I was thinking I could run the X-Crawl funnel I wrote for 2 of the slots, the crawl formerly known as Terror on the Tundra for a third,
Oh,
and a
bless you.
murder mystery I made to follow Terror on the Tundra for last. Am I taking on too much? For my first big con, should I just relax and be a player? What advice can you give to a first-time attendee to GaryCon? Give me all the secret knowledge and backstage passes. If I had some, I'd give them to you.
I'm gonna let
Well,
you guys go first.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll just say this. My first time I went to GaryCon, I just played. I think I've only been twice. I just wanted to experience the thing. Um, I heard it was crazy or like big and like, all these things that you kind of end up hearing about it. And even then, I felt like I should have ran an event for that first year, but I'm kind of thankful I didn't because it was an interesting chance just to kind of sit back and set my schedule and not have to kind of worry about entertaining anybody at such a big. I don't know if it's a big event, but it feels like a big event. I don't know what advice I'd give you. If it makes you feel good to run 4, man. I don't know. I'm a burnout, apparently.
You didn't look very burned out in that LARP with Don. You guys were jumping around.
It's
and,
all the fur that was covering my face. You couldn't see it.
Yeah, and it was like this tube is a sword, and it was pretty cool.
Magic missile.
Yeah. It's my turn.
Yeah, say something.
Okay, I think if you are comfortable GMing, running 4 games is fine. I run 4 games. Actually, I'm running 5 games, I think. 4 is a lot. You have to be comfortable with strangers. By the way, strangers can suck. You can get jerks into your table. And it's not a big deal. Like you will get jerks at some point or another if you run a lot of con games and weirdos and people make it really hard to run a game and that kind of stuff. So you have to be kind of prepared. I mean, you also just get awesome tables full of cool people most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to make it sound bad, but you do have to be prepared that you are running games with strangers and they're going to, like in person as players, not as characters, they're going to do stuff that you're maybe not totally prepared for. So you got to be ready for running games for strangers is a different thing. Also be prepared at GaryCon for a loud, somewhat chaotic environment. I'd say it ranges from loud and chaotic to way louder and way more chaotic than that, depending on where you end up getting placed. It's
And what
really
time?
Eve, yeah. I mean, Morning is a little quieter, but
Mhm.
still it's pretty packed, and it seems to be more packed every year. So you got to be ready just for it's going to be loud, and it may not be. So you got to be you yourself have to be loud, and that kind of stuff. I would say, run a game and play a game each day. And then, more than 8 hours of gaming for me personally, it just gets too crazy. I get too exhausted. I get annoyed, and just dragged out and tired. So leave some time to rest and hang out and buy stuff. Try to go to the Goodman Games booth. Look especially for Julian Burnick adventures because I need money.
That
And then
hack.
find some, go to the bar, drink heavily, find some drop-in games, stuff like that. Find Dogstorm, play some Gaslands and in the bar and all that good stuff. That's it for me.
Any other advice from our fellow?
Well, Judge Eric, do you do the con scene?
I do, yeah. More than lately, I've been doing more of like manning a booth, like vending at cons and stuff. But I'll say my first con was Origins, and I went with a group that their requirement was they were like, okay, you run 6 games, we'll get you a hotel and a badge. And I was like, whoa. I didn't realize how much 6 games was.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And so if you're running 4, I would say that's the absolute most I'd recommend for a beginner. I will also tell you that based on running cons of games, you are going to be talking much louder than you do in your normal life.
Mm.
And your throat, most people, a lot of people completely lose their voice during their first couple cons. It's happened to me repeatedly. So bring lozenges, bring plenty to drink with you to the table, because they are right. Like it's going to be loud, and Gary Con is one of the more loud, more boisterous cons that you can attend. It's actually my favorite con of all time. But yeah, 4 would be the absolute most. I would actually, personally, I would recommend running 2 and playing some because this is your first con experience. Unless you're a forever GM and you like it that way, then yeah. But 4, I would say would be the absolute most I'd recommend.
Yeah, I agree. If you're gonna run 4, I say, you should be the person who really likes GMing and really is gung ho, and you're comfortable sitting down with 6 to 8 randos at a table and just going and stuff like that. And if you're not really that level person and you haven't run con games much, you might want to take it a little slower. But that's that when I say that, which you are, so that's on you, Judge No. Or since you do X crawl, I had responded back to him. I think his dungeon judge name should be DJ. Oh no you didn't. But
I love it.
Okay, now that one for X crawl, yeah, okay. All right, so
okay.
the world always needs more X crawl. I'll chime in now. I was holding my peace because GaryCon is actually the con that I ran my very first game at, or my very first convention game. And I also understand that it's kind of a financial decision because if you run enough games, you get credit for your badge next year. So that could be part of the consideration. If so, like everyone else said, stay hydrated, bring at least 2 or 3 drinks with you to the table. And depending on how you stack your games, maybe you do 3 all in one day and then you're done for the rest of the con, right? 3 plus another 1 or something. But GaryCon is probably one of the most forgiving cons to run a game at as well, because they don't charge for the seats at a game. And it's one of those places where they'll just have signs up, like a green sign means, hey, we're still accepting players and you don't actually have to have a ticket to the game. And as a GM, they'll walk you through all of that part too. But I think it's a lot less stress to run your first convention games there. So either way you do it, huge support to you. And if I have the opportunity, I'll try to join one of your tables.
Nice. All right, Judge No No. Thanks for writing in. All right, it's time. It's time.
Is it?
It's time to
Okay.
summon our new patron.
Yay.
All right. As mentioned at the top of the show, Eric Bloat has released a ton of games and supplements for DCC. Bloat Games has been publishing since 2017 and he has not stopped to rest on his laurels. I guess just this month only, he's taken it a little easy. The Judges J of Spellburn invoke thee, Eric Bloat. Thanks for coming to the little seance.
Thank you so much. I'm actually super excited when I kind of got away from gaming for a while. My home group that I mentioned had kind of stopped playing, and I discovered the OSR around 2015, 2016. And one of the very first things that I discovered was somebody mentioned Spellburn, and
Mm.
they mentioned the Spellburn like in its infancy. In fact, I think there was only like 15 episodes up,
Wow.
and I kind of breezed through them in a week and ordered my first DCC book. So to be actually on Spellburn, there was a very significant portion of me becoming a game designer and doing this professionally that is directly responsible. So it's very cool for me to be here.
Well, we are
Well,
super glad to have you. Again, we're rectifying, I don't know, wrongs of the past. More first-time guests here on the show, and we're pleased as punch to have you here. Um, so, to that, uh, like you said, you played first edition AD&D, you came into DCC, um, uh, and so what was the first book that you had published for exclude like kind of like the DCC game system?
Oh, the first book that I published for DCC was Operation Bug Hunt.
Ooh.
That was the very first one. I had when I came in, I was unsure about doing third party supplements for other companies, and so when the very first third party that I did was for DCC, and yeah, I was a huge fan of Starship Troopers growing up,
Hmm.
and I liked how wacky a lot of the adventures and third party supplements that I'd read and played in for DCC was kind of were out there, and I thought, man, Starship Troopers, they really need like a source book and a handbook to do this, and so yeah, that was my entrance into the DCC third party publishing realm.
And your first published book too, or not?
No, no, no. My very first published book was Survive This Zombies, first
Okay.
edition, which now we're up on what's called Ultimate Edition, but essentially it's the third edition of the game. But and that was for a system I created, which is really is kind of fifth edition and first edition mixed together. I call it Survive This. But so I did Survive This Zombies, um, and not necessarily because I'm a super zombie fan. I mean, I love zombie movies and stuff, but more I was like, okay, well, let's take out things that have magic or fiddly parts of a system. Let me get my foot in the door and figure out how to do this. And so, yeah, the first one I actually did was Survive This Zombies, and then Operation Bug Hunt came probably a year and a half to maybe 2 years into my publishing career.
Got it. Um, and so you kind of, so the game kind of DCC specifically kind of caught hold for you. Like what specific part? I mean, like, was it the
Okay.
whole thing? Was it like a specific part of the game that really kind of said, I've got to write for DCC?
The things like the funnel, I really love the funnel. I love like Mighty Deeds. DCC is the version of Dungeons and Dragons that I was playing at 12 years old. I just didn't know it was DCC yet, if that makes sense to you.
I think it does. Yeah.
So like the over the top fantasy, fun over fun and fiction over like grinding rules and and needless mechanics. Very much when I heard about the type of adventures that had been written for DCC, both third party and Goodman Games originals, those were the type of adventures that I was running. That was very much in my early day was it was all inspired by like He-Man, Black Star, Conan, the movies. So all the weird science fantasy stuff from the 80s, that was what I was trying to emulate in my Dungeons and Dragons games. And so when I found DCC, I was like, it was like coming home for me.
Mm. Mm.
Very nice.
So you're saying Survive This is kind of it's a game that any kind of old school D&D person would find looking somewhat familiar.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So like with Survive This, I mean, you're going to go in there, you're going to see things that you automatically know. You're going to have strength, intelligence, dex, wisdom, all that stuff. We do have a seventh additional attribute called Survival, which
Mm.
is 110% ripped off from DCC. Survival is luck in DCC. Uh,
Got it.
so basically, you can spend a point to re-roll any roll, but you got to take whatever roll you did. Yeah, yeah. No, I totally just there's a book out that I read once a year called Still Like a Thief, or yeah, I believe that's it. Yeah, Still Like a Thief. And it tells you like how you can take other things that are out there and recreate it to kind of make it your own. But no, that 100% is cribbed from that. But so yeah, you're gonna have those. You're gonna have saving throws. All the rolls are basically D20 plus a modifier to meet or beat a target number. There's no like THACO
Mm.
or things like that.
Thank
So it's
goodness.
trying to rolling higher is better. But yeah, so anybody who picks up and survived this game, if you played any version of D&D, you're going to immediately know what's going on within 5 minutes. There's a few things that you may be like, well, how's it do this? But so yeah, and I came up with Survive This because I also grew up, in addition to play Dungeons and Dragons, I spent the 90s playing Rifts and the Palladium games from Palladium Books.
All right.
And so I wanted a system to where I could create different things. So like Dark Places and Demigorgons is my 1980s game, much like Stranger Things, right?
Right.
But it uses the Survive This system. My Vigilante City,
Okay.
yeah,
I was going to ask about that.
my Vigilante City game, which is my love letter to Batman the Animated Series, my favorite cartoon of all time. Vigilante City uses the same rule set. And so I approached it kind of like how Palladium did, where Palladium had Rifts, Palladium Fantasy, After the Bomb, TMNT, all that stuff used the same system. I wanted to do kind of the same thing and that they had done.
Awesome.
So, how does, say, the Vigilante City flavor of that differ from the Evolved system? Oh, is Evolved a system unto its own?
Evolved is actually straight up DCC. So Evolved on the cover says powered by DCC RPG.
Okay.
Evolved is I believe there's only two, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's us and Weird Frontiers are the only two that have got the license to use the full rule set. So technically, Evolved doesn't require the DCC core rule book. Everything you need is in the one 650 page tome. But I'll tell you, get the DCC book if you don't already have it. But so it is straight up DCC and evolved thematically. Like I said, Vigilante City was my love letter to Batman the Animated Series. My writing partner, Josh Palmer, I was Batman growing up and he was X-Men. And so Evolved is very much X-Men with DCC rules. And then of course we brought Jeff Seifert on to help us out. And Jeff took what we had, which what I thought was going to be a great game, and he turned it into the best thing we've ever published. And I cannot overstate his contributions to that game. It would not definitely wouldn't be 600 and something pages. He added a lot and really kind of spearheaded that force. But yeah, so if you think Vigilante City, think Batman. Evolved, think X-Men.
Fair enough. Thank you. It's cool to hear that Jeff had such a big part in that, though.
Yeah, I've worked with Jeff several times in the past, and he's written. In fact, a lot of the stuff that I've done, where I'm releasing it for Survive This or for 5e, if there's going to be a DCC version, I'll send work that way to Jeff, just because his conversions, I think he's the best in the business at converting to anybody. So if you're a third party publisher and you need some help out there in either writing, editing, or conversion, Jeff Seifert is the person you need to talk to. I can't say enough great things about him.
And
I'll,
there's
I'll second that for sure. Jeff's great editor.
yes, very much so. Uh, there are 4 adventures that go along with Evolved as well, if I recall correctly.
Correct. Yes. There's 4 adventures right out the gate. Plus in the book itself, there's tons of, we call them adventure hooks essentially, but it's enough to get you going if you know how to run it. But it's not like a do this, do this, do this, act 1, act 2, act 3. But yeah, there's 4 adventures. In fact, Mr. Judge James wrote one for us, and so
Nice.
so yeah, we when we did the Kickstarter, it was for the core rules um and originally it was 5 adventures. Something happened, and now we got 4 adventures. But that's all out and available. In fact, you can find the core book, of course, at goodmangames.com. You can find it on Amazon if you're interested. Find it at Bloat Games. The adventures are out there as well, at Goodman Games and at Bloat Games. And so it, and then we got more stuff in the works to be coming out hopefully next year for that. There's still a few things we're updating and tweaking as far as getting everything digitally is where we want, because we're releasing some more digital content that's included in the core rule book, which all of our digital stuff is through, for Bloat Games it's through drive through, but then there's also some digital stuff on Goodman Games as well.
If I was looking through a lot of the stuff on your website, and you kindly provided us with some PDFs of DCC stuff, and there's a lot to enjoy there, some of which I was familiar with, and some things that I hadn't seen yet. What I didn't see and was notable was there's not a lot of like garden variety fantasy stuff. I noticed like horror is a big thing for you. And then of course you got a sort of superhero thing with the vigilantes and the vigilante. There was a shorter vigilante like zine type thing you'd done
For
a while
DCC.
back for
Mhm.
DCC, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but it doesn't look like you are trying to do, at least not yet, right? Obviously, I'm not saying what you can or should do, but you haven't. What I could see anyway, I didn't see that you're much in like writing straight up DCC fantasy adventures or that kind of thing. Is that a, I haven't got to that yet, I keep getting other ideas, or is that a conscious decision, or what's up with that?
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, that was a conscious decision when I started out. Like I said, I kind of when I found the OSR, I found home, and so But one thing I noticed is that everybody who was writing OSR type games and OSR type material, about 90 to 95% of it was specifically for fantasy RPGs, and I said, okay, how can I fit in, or how can I get a way into the foot into the market and not just be another person releasing fantasy games. So I've kind of over the past 9 years, I've kind of done everything except fantasy. We did have Survive This Fantasy. We put out a 2-book set for that, and then a follow up for that. But we don't have a lot of just straight up fantasy. Now I will tell you that's actually about to change for us. We're going to be going into fantasy kind of in a big way, but historically, it was a conscious decision not to just put out more fantasy, which I felt like there was a ton of really awesome stuff and a ton of stuff that was okay. And but I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle, and so kind of going with like our first game was a zombie game, and then our second game was a 1980s game, kids on bike type game. Um, Kind of going that route made me stand out from the pack, and that's why you don't see a lot of just straight up fantasy stuff.
So are you a big horror fan though? I mean, I feel like
I am,
okay.
yeah. So I grew up, of course, I was a child of the '80s, and I grew up loving horror movies. My friends and I, we all would watch horror movies. And then like as I got older, I read a lot. Huge Stephen King reader, but then graduated from all the Stephen Kings into the plethora of horror fiction that's out there. So for me, it's easier for me to write a modern based game in a world that I'm familiar with a horror slant than it's more work for me to come up with a fantasy game that I think is unique enough to stand out from the pack. So that's kind of where, why we went the route we did is because, um, it's just for me, it's easier to do it that way. Comes more naturally, I guess.
Do you find that out in the wild, your games are like people are mashing them together, or like what kind of like cool like fan stories do you
Oh,
have?
oh yeah. So I've had multiple people tell me, that they've taken our Survive This Zombies and Dark Places and Demigorgons, and they ran like Return of the Living Dead scenarios. Multiple people
Oh.
said that. Multiple people have also told me that, and multiple like different people who don't know each other have told me that they use Dark Places and Demigorgons to run Scooby Doo type games. So like when I run it, it's more of a horror game. But there are people out there who are running it and using more comedy and stuff. We also have a game called Greasers and Ghouls, which is set in the 1950s, and it's like you play as high school age students in the 1950s. So you got like you think of the cast from Grease, but you're going up against like all the B movie monsters, so like the irradiated ants, the little green men from Mars, things like that. And I've had people tell me that they've played like they take Dark Place and Demigorgons and played Back to the Future games, splitting between the two timelines, and I just love that.
Hmm.
Nice.
Hmm. Are
It,
they are these are the Survive This games, are they it sounds like they're pretty compatible, right? Like
Yeah,
are they yeah, mechanically.
mechanically they're going to want to be 100% compatible. There's a few times where you're running into things. So like in Dark Places and Demigorgons, the 1980s game, um, uh, you're not necessarily like a wizard who's casting spells like a traditional wizard. You get spells through magical tattoos, right?
mm,
So to find things that sometimes are themed differently, but the mechanics of how it operates are work fine. So you can take a class from whatever you want. You can take a class from Survive This Fantasy, run an adventure like, or sorry, take a class from Dark Place and Demigorgons, run an adventure kind of like the old D&D cartoon, and where you get sucked into a fantasy realm, and then those characters can play in that fantasy realm because mechanically it is all the same.
Hmm. Hmm.
wow.
Are there any since there is sort of a horror slant there, do you have any non-OSR type horror mechanics like sanity or tension meters or all that stuff that they have in the various
Stress.
stress meters and all that jazz?
Right. Yeah. So what we got is we got a couple things. We got some rolls that you have to roll. If you first encounter a monster, you have to roll a
Hmm.
terror check and to see like how you reacted the first time that you see this monster. You may run away screaming. You may be fine. You may wet your pants. You don't know. It all depends on how that happens. And then there's certain creatures that can cause you to have to roll on an insanity table, and you may pick up a phobia, may pick up things like that. So yeah, there's quite a bit as far as that. Now I don't have anything like I don't have the stress mechanic that you might find in like um in what the
Call of Cthulhu
yeah,
or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, so I don't have anything ramping up like that because I wanted it to be, I didn't want to have that kind of imposed on like our superhero game.
Mhm.
So so everything that's in there is kind of it's kind of if you think of it as like a sandbox, like we try to give you as much as we can, and you can pick and choose what you want, but mechanically, it's all the same. So I didn't try to make anything that was going to specifically only work for a certain game system. I wanted it to be able to go across all the genres.
Hmm. I think I love it. I love the sound of it. I think we should just take a horror mechanic like that and put it in Dungeon Crawl Classics so that you know when level 0 baker and gong farmer and candlestick maker see some kind of Cthulhuid for the first time, they wig out and they're all crazy. Even the ones who survive are completely useless. fluttering bags of skin at the end of the event. But that might
Well,
just
I
be
did
me.
see that there's going to be a DCC. It's third party, but coming up that is a strictly horror game. We got a
All
couple
right.
called like Camp Blood and Bloody Appalachia, which are kind of like Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre type games. And this looks like that, but it's made for DCC. I saw that in DCC group, but unfortunately, I don't remember who's publishing it. But I saw that, and personally, I got excited because that's my jam right there.
Is it
Yeah.
Horror Crawl Classics? Is that what
Horror,
it's called?
yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And they have some really striking art from Brad McDevitt, I think, on there, right?
Which Brad's another person who I love. In fact, when I got
Yeah, I saw that. I noticed some of your stuff has a lot of Brad's stuff.
yeah, when I got started, of course with being like most publishers, you don't have a lot of money to buy art. And so I found Brad's stock art was available, and man, I picked up a ton of it. And then since then I've been lucky enough to have him work with me several times and do, commission-based stuff for me. But yeah, if you're a third-party publisher and you're just starting out, go to drive-through-rpg.com. Look, just search Bradley K. McDevitt stock art, and you're going to find a ton of awesome art that you can pick up relatively cheaply to use in your stuff.
It is
I
so
agree.
awesome and smart of Brad to put it up there too.
Yes.
I really think I really would like to just find a way to randomly pick 10 of those and then just build an adventure and maybe not 10 but like 3 or 5 of those and then just write the adventure based on whichever art comes that you draw out of the deck would be.
That should be super easy, Julian. I know Brad has a catalog. Just ask him how many and roll some dice.
Well, right, exactly. I'm just too lazy and too busy, even though I'm lazy. But anyway, that's enough about me. Enough about me. What's the next amazing? This is kind of question for everybody, but Eric, I think you're the right guy. What's the next amazing genre or subgenre that DCC has not plumbed yet, or maybe even OSR-ish games in general have not plumbed yet?
That
Is there anything left?
I don't know if there is because there's so many people publishing in such a wide variety. I don't know of anybody who's published anything in the like anime realm,
Hmm.
DCC specifically.
Interesting.
That could be, an Avatar Last Airbender type series or something along those lines.
Right.
Something like a Studio Ghibli with DCC spin on it.
Hmm.
That's something that may be out there. Now, again, there may be 3 or 4 people who've already done that, but I'm not aware of them. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
How about a mouse game? Like, there's a lot of them, right? But we
For
don't have
DCC though.
we don't have a DCC one, do we? Rodent Crawl Classics. It could be like.
Yes, we do. Mutant Crawl Classics, Mutant Minis Mayhem. I remember there's actually little figurines that were made, minis, if you will, for MCC way back.
Oh, I remember. I know exactly what you mean. Those minis are great. I have some of those. But did they do like a rodent themed setting or something?
Yeah, there
Like
was
a
a
mouse,
companion. There was a companion book with them.
That was a
Oh.
third party thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not a Goodman thing.
No.
So that has to be Erica Barlow and the
It is, right,
Rats of
right.
Yep.
of Gim or something like that.
That and the mutant. Oh shoot, I'll have to dig up the title for it, but I know there's a companion book to it as well.
Hmm.
And there's
I have been diving through the warehouse lately.
there's a really cool anthropomorphic DCC game that you could probably pull off the Rats too. I cannot
Primal
the
Beasts.
Bronx.
Oh yeah, the Bronx.
Bronx
Yeah,
Beasts.
both.
The Bronx
both of those.
Beasts and
Both
the
of those.
Primal Tales. That's what it was.
Correct.
Oh, right.
Correct. Yes.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen
that's
Primal
true.
Tales in a long time. Did Brett stop publishing, like printing copies of it, or that was Brett,
There's
right?
yeah, there's it was Brett and Brendan, and there were 2 issues. Were was there ever more than one issue of Bronx Beast? I know that there
I
were
think there
more
was a
planned.
handful. I think there was a
Yeah.
handful.
Yeah, he
Okay.
did it. Well, he did at least one adventure, maybe 2 adventures. Man, the art on there was amazing. Really
And that
cool.
was Dan Stevie, if I recall.
Oh
Right.
yeah, for sure. Okay, let's see what other subgenres. Play. Spies. What about spies? Do we have
Ooh.
espionage crawl classics?
Wow.
Huh?
I don't think
There was a noir something or other put out by Space Penguin, I think. But I don't know if it's exactly what we're looking for.
there was a trench crawl classics, which was like World War One or
Eric, I
something
think
like
that would be kind of up your alley. I mean, you've got, it's kind of modern world. I could see that. I'm just saying,
Yeah, no, definitely. I do know, I don't know of any DCC that's done it, but I do know for OSR, there's a really fantastic game called White Lies that is a spy game, spy and espionage game. If you ever get a chance, I highly recommend picking that one up.
Thanks for
Okay.
the recommendation.
There you go. White Lies. We'll put that. I'll investigate. We'll put it in the show notes. As long as I listen to this while I edit it, that usually helps, but not always.
And thank you for that, Julian.
Yeah. Well, let's face it. Judge Bob is somehow putting a magic veneer that still makes everything sound better after I do most of that stuff. So thank you, Judge Bob. But anyway, it's partnership.
All
Well,
right.
very
So
good.
what's coming up next for Bloat Games? You kind of have alluded to a couple things coming up, but like I know you've got a crowdfunding campaign planned out until 2027. So give us the lowdown.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't.
You're not wrong. So
Great business acumen.
let me brag on myself for a second, which I normally don't do, but we did just cross our 51st, or we just ended our 51st successful Kickstarter, which is
Congrats.
That's
insane.
insane. Yeah.
Insane that that's occurred, and it's all thanks to the generous supporters of Bloat Games. I got a ton of people who've been there with me from the beginning. I got new people who joined and come and go. So thank you all. As far as what's coming up next, so Bloat Games is actually, we got a couple big projects that are a few months away from being ready to go to Kickstarter. If anybody follows Bloat Games knows that we run 7 to 10 crowdfunding campaigns a year, and we release 12 to 15 books, games, supplements a year. So we're always working on a ton of stuff. But what we're focusing on for the rest of this year is actually going to be smaller projects. We've got a ton of games that were like rules light OSR type games, and also like solo games that we've been kicking around and playtesting for a long time, and they've kind of have been having to take a back seat because we're doing all these really large campaigns. And so we're actually going to take a few months here while I get acclimated to having a job again, and use this time to finish up some of the smaller campaigns that we got, or smaller projects that we got that don't require 300 400 pages worth of writing, where it's 34 to or 36 to 64 pages, and get some of those out back to back. So starting in October, we're going to have some horror based or solo games where you're actually hunting cryptids.
Nice.
So you'll be able to run through those. Yes. So you'll be able to run through those, and those are what's in the immediate future for us.
Awesome. All right. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I'm so glad we finally got the chance to get you here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm like I said, this is a big honor for me, because this podcast in particular really was one of the very early things that helped me get excited enough to actually publish all the stuff that I've been writing my entire life. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Oh man, makes me feel all warm inside.
Right? Warm and fuzzies, and it's not sweater weather yet. You can't do that.
Sounds like you're starting to become a northerner. All
Midwest.
right.
That's Midwest, you dirty hippie.
Okay, fine. It is the Midwest. I'll take. All
Yes,
right.
it is.
Let's wrap this baby up. Thanks again, Eric, for being here. Um, Reminder that Spellburn is now live streamed on the Goodman Games YouTube channel. You might be watching right now. Hi. If you're not, you
Hello.
should next month join us on YouTube. And that's youtube.com slash at Goodman Games. Mega thanks, of course, to Glitter Wizard and Loot the Body and St. Karloff for permission to use their music. And always thanks to our patron AI, Judge Jim, for hosting, first of his name, for hosting and maintenance help, and Judge Bob for all the help with editing. If you're listening and you find issues, I don't know what kind of issues you're talking about, but let us know if there's some issues at Spellburn spellburnband@gmail.com. And we'll bring this, of course, episode to spellburn.com soon for all you audophiles. Remember, if you send us some emails at spellburnband@gmail.com if you have crowdfunding coming up, if there's a topic you'd like us to cover on Spellburn, if you want to be a guest or you'd like to hear us, a guest you'd like us to quiz. Who wrote this stuff?
Well, some
Right.
guy.
Or just some rando questions like we always get. GM Kojo, we're counting on you. Don't forget to email. All right, that's it. Thanks from the crew. This has been the end of this episode of Spellburn.